Hi, Ignite. My name is Chris Metzger, and I'm an inpatient hospice nurse with Gilchrist Hospice Care. And the title of my presentation is Radical Redemption Prison Hospice. I thought I really had my work cut out for me tonight talking about death, but thankfully Steve talked to us about bones dissolving, so he really helped me out there. And then my husband made a beautiful slide that I thought would, kind of ease things in a little bit. So for those of you who aren't familiar with hospice care, let's say you have a chronic disease or illness and none of the treatments are working. So if a doctor can say that you have less than 6 months to live or up to 6 months, you may opt to shift over from curative care to comfort care. So who qualifies? Any one of these people on screen, from the unborn to the very young, the middle-aged, very elderly, rich, the poor, and everything in between may qualify for hospice. And all of these pictures are my friends, family, and coworkers. Hospice is an interdisciplinary team consisting of these professionals who come together for the sake of a patient and that patient's family to basically provide the best possible and dignified death imaginable. And where is hospice provided? You might think of it as being a facility, which it can be, like where I work, but hospice can be provided in a long-term care facility or a personal home, or in a kind of an unusual place behind bars in prison. This is an image on the left of a California medical facility inmate who is a hospice volunteer caring for a terminally ill inmate. And in both pictures you can see that human compassion and dignity are evident. There are about 2.2 million people currently serving time in the United States in over 4,500 prisons. Just to give you an idea of what that looks like, it's about the number in the city the size of Houston, Texas. And that looks like a fun helicopter ride. So there are about 3,000 people that will die behind bars each year. Sometimes they will be allowed compassionate release. Generally this comes too late. So the inmates will die behind bars, or they will die in a hospital cuffed and guarded, scared and alone. Now, there are about 75 prison hospice programs in the US. Only about 20 of those have incorporated the incarcerated to provide hands-on care for the dying inmates, where they're trained to be like CNAs. It's a very small number. So let's back up a minute. Why should we care? These are people who have committed sometimes very violent crimes against innocent, humans in the state of Maryland. Why should we care if they suffer or how they die? Maybe we think they deserve it. But I would say that to offer the mercy of hospice care to a terminally ill inmate is part of what electrifies humanity, what gives us our compassion. And why do I advocate specifically for a prison hospice program where inmates themselves are trained to care for the dying? Well, simply put, in the 20 or so programs where this has been implemented, the risk has paid the reward many times over. At the Angola Prison Hospice Program, part of the Louisiana State Penitentiary, carefully selected inmates are trained as CNAs to care for the dying brothers. And many times this is the first time in their lives that they've ever had the opportunity to do so. This is an inmate who will be bathing this man. He will be feeding him, changing his bed linens, every type of personal care, and it's offering these men correction in ways that the prison system simply doesn't do. For example, the men will sew quilts and blankets. They will sit vigil for the dying men. They will build coffins and plan funerals, and everything in between to support their dying brothers. And interestingly about this program is there have been consistently more applicants to the prison hospice volunteer program than the number actually selected. And constantly these inmates are exceeding the administration's expectations in the compassionate care provided. For many of these guys, providing hospice care has been the first time in their lives that they have empathetically and selflessly cared for another human being without expecting anything in return. And it's changing their hearts. It is offering them ownership into their own crimes. It is giving them a sense that relationships matter and that caring is important for them. And it's giving them a sense of personal redemption for the crimes that they have committed. There's so many quotes to support this, but this is the best. For me, merely visiting with dying prisoners has brought me face to face with the shock, despair, and horror of death. It has helped me to better understand the losses I caused, and this empathetic bridge with all victims racks my soul with an unending remorse. This is an actual quote from a Maryland Jessup institutional inmate. If you're interested in learning more about prison hospice, these are two really great documentaries. Serving Life is available on Netflix, and Prison Terminal, The Last Days of Private Jack Hall, you can get that on HBO, and I think also on iTunes. Or you can catch me after the presentations, and I'll talk to you about it some more. Thank you so much.